I'm circling back with you to follow up on something I announced in March this year, 2026, and that was rebranding Invincible Solopreneurs. I felt like neither Invincible nor Solopreneurs was really working for the overall mission and the movement that I'm trying to create with the community, the newsletter, podcast, courses, workshops, retreats, and more. So I'm going to share what I heard and what I finally decided to do with this. And this is Invincible Solopreneurs. When I started Invincible Solopreneurs, years ago, I don't know how many years ago, I did it because there was a need for my career community to kind of be split off. I had heard from a lot of people who were very, very focused on a pure employed career that they didn't want to hear about entrepreneurship, starting a business, quitting their job, things like that. They really just wanted to get promoted at work. They wanted to find new jobs, better jobs, deal with issues with coworkers, bosses, all that stuff, right? Very career related, resumes, interviews, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. And so I decided to split the communities and have the pure Invincible career community, which is all career focused and still running that, still doing the career coaching, leadership coaching, things like that. And then formed this new community, which this podcast is associated with. It's all about entrepreneurship. It's about investing in your freedom, being able to break free of employment, creating your own sense of purpose that you control, not a boss, not an employer, and generating a more fulfilling life, because I really want people to enjoy the last half of their life more. And I've experienced this. I've watched friends do this, and I know how good it can feel to take control of your destiny and your income and all that kind of stuff. But over the years, and probably really came to a head this year, where I just feel like the name has been missing the mark. Part of that was I was coaching people who didn't necessarily want to be a solopreneur. Some people do. I'm a solopreneur. I love it. I love working for myself, by myself. Doesn't mean I don't partner with people occasionally, have a loose kind of federation of solopreneurs. I just don't have a legal entity with a legal partner that controls part of my business. And maybe I'm a control freak. I'm a bit type A, but I like to control everything about my business. And so I like it. And I hire contractors. I've hired consultants. Doesn't mean you work alone. It just means you own the business legally. You control everything legally. And you can ebb and flow with demand and hire people if you want. Don't hire people if you don't need to, all that kind of stuff. So I like it, but not everybody does. And not every business works with that model. Some people want to have a more entrepreneurial model. They want to hire employees. They want to build a small business. Maybe they're building a small business with a physical footprint. They're going to have a food truck or a cafe or a bookstore or whatever it might be, right? And to scale and to run that business, they need to hire employees. They can't do it all themselves. It's kind of hard. So that's one part of it. The other part, and I've struggled a bit with this over the years, is this word invincible. It means a lot to me, and it meant a lot to me 10 years ago when I secured the trademark and I started building these brands around feeling invincible and being invincible. But I think over the years, it has shifted a bit, and the way I feel about it has shifted a bit to more about being empowered. No one's ever truly invincible. None of us are Superman. Things are going to affect us. Things are going to impact us. We can be stronger. We can be empowered. We can be resilient, but maybe we're not invincible. And I know that hasn't resonated either. So I sent out a survey and polled the community and polled the newsletter and reached out to some friends and other people who have been doing this type of work, people who are solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. And I started asking, what do you feel when you hear the words invincible and solopreneur? What does it make you think and feel? One question was about many of us are too young to fully retire, and that is true. If you're in your 40s, 50s, even 60s, you're not ready to fully retire, and maybe you can't afford to fully retire, but you're really getting tired of the daily grind. That first act career that you have, that 9 to 5 job, maybe it was all well and good for the first 15, 20 years, and you enjoyed it, and you climbed the ladder, and it's starting to wear thin, though, and I hear a lot of that. And so I was asking people what words best describe what you want from what I call your second act. Your second act career, the next chapter of your life. What is it you want most for yourself personally and professionally, whatever it might be? And then asking, are there specific words or phrases that excite you and inspire you when you're thinking about quitting a job, taking early retirement, self-employment, building a business, that kind of thing? Conversely, are there words that turn you off? So if you're thinking about this, are there words that you hear, and we hear those all the time. There's a lot of marketing around this phase of life. And I know personally some of that turns me off and some of it turns other people off. So I wanted to know what those were. And then really just coming right out and saying, what would you name this? If you had the power to name this, what would you call it? And I received a lot of different kinds of feedback. People, when they heard the word invincible and they heard the word solopreneur, was talking about being in control of their work, feeling confident, achieving the goals, living how they want. Absolutely. I love that. Someone said, this sounds unrealistic, right? Invincible sounds unrealistic. And it's true. That's what I was just saying. It's like you're empowered, maybe not invincible. And they said solopreneur sounds lonely. And yeah, some people it is lonely. They don't like it. And it can be lonely if you don't build the network and connect with people. So I get it. Another person said, this feels a bit new agey to me. A little grandiose. Yeah, it probably did. Somebody else said it makes them feel and think confident, agile, adaptive, aggressive, maybe a masculine archetype. And that could be. Maybe I was putting too much of a masculine spin on it. They don't feel much. Maybe it's tired language, hyped up language. That was fair. And thinking about this next chapter of life, they want flexibility. Somebody wanted interesting work, the sense that they're helping others meaningfully rather than just being in a cog in a wheel. Again, more flexibility, freedom, joy. I love the idea of joy in your work. Somebody else said flexibility, free time, financial stability. I think that's important. Freedom to decide what projects to work on, what to say no to. Absolutely. Just wanted to do cool stuff with cool people. Yeah, I totally get that. And then words that inspire you, excite you: control, ownership, autonomy, flexibility, purpose, direction, choose your own adventure. I like that. Freedom, flexibility, joy, being able to split their time between different locations. And I love that too. Yeah, I like to do that myself. People who are self-employed, concerned about an unknown future, ability to get to work as they get older, or be able to do work and get work as they get older. Network retiring. Yeah, that can happen, right? Your network's aging too. So your referrals start to dry up. And words that turn you off. The idea of coasting or stopping. Hating the word hustle. I hate the word hustle. I've never liked that. Winding down. Yeah, it sounds kind of negative, huh? Trying to find a healthy balance and a middle ground. So avoiding the extremes, right? You don't want to hustle and work too hard, but you're also not giving up and winding down. Somebody said, anything that makes me sound old. And, it's like, I get that. I don't like the concept of a retiree, of silver senior or golden years, that kind of thing. And somebody else said they don't like golden years. Anything that reminds them that they're not 20 anymore. Somebody else, I'm not a fan of the word retirement. I'm passionate about my work, and I'm tired of feeling like I can't stop work even in my 70s. I want to keep working, so I get that. So calling something, what could we call this? And they were like directed life, revamping your career, not done yet, unfinished business. That idea. So I also talked to other people, and I did some brainstorming with some friends and some colleagues and people who've done marketing and branding and all that kind of stuff. And the words playbook came up a lot, a guide, courses, workshops, all that kind of stuff, the usual stuff. And I'll get into what I finally settled on, but I'm kind of excited about it. And I think it's positive. I don't think it carries any of the negative connotations. And I think it's very specific about the phase of your work and life where I want to focus, right? Let's see. I have some notes. I just want to remember what I want to share with you. So hearing all this, knowing what I want from this and knowing where I want to focus and how I've been coaching people and where the value is being delivered, I want to focus the majority of my business coaching and the advice that I share, the workshops that I teach, online courses I create, and, ultimately I want to do some weekend retreats, which I think would be really exciting, to take a group of 5 to 10 people and help them plan this next phase and design a business. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and do it somewhere that's enjoyable so we can have a little bit of fun too. And so where I want to focus is that moment when an experienced professional, so you've been working for a while and you're good at what you do, you got the experience, you got the knowledge, the talents, the skills, all that stuff you developed throughout your career. But you have that moment, I think we all reach, most of us, when we've had enough. We have had enough of our 9-to-5 job. I think it does hit all of us. I think everybody, even if they stay in their job a long time, if they're allowed to, and they're not forced out, you're like, yeah, I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy spending time with my grandchildren, my family, my loved ones, my partner. I want to travel. I want to do fun things. I don't want to be stuck in a chair from 9 to 5. I don't want to be commuting anymore. So I think we all reach that point we've had enough. And we get tired of working for someone else. I've heard this. I felt this. I don't think I ever really liked. Okay, confession. I've never really enjoyed working for someone else. I've done it. On occasion, I've respected the people I worked for. Most of the time, I just tolerated them. I'm not really crazy about working for someone else. But I think everybody reaches a point where they get a little tired. And I've had some friends who are in their late 40s, 50s. They're like, yeah, my new boss is half my age with no experience, doesn't know what they're doing. They are relying on me to coach them and tell them what to do, but I'm certainly not getting paid their vice president salary. So why am I helping them? This is kind of ridiculous, right? So they get tired of reporting to someone else. They get tired of seeing patterns repeat, seeing the same old problems repeat. I've worked in tech since 93. I was at IBM, I was at Apple, some startups, some hardcore kind of enterprise B2B startups and hardware startups. Went to eBay, went into management, went to Yahoo, became an executive, left, became a founder and a CEO of my own company. I've done consulting. I've been in it a long time. And you start to see the patterns repeat themselves, the problems repeat themselves. It's almost like nobody learns from the past. And they're like, hey, we're going to do this thing. It's like, yep, I remember this thing. And lo and behold, it fails again. Or if nothing else, they don't learn from the past. They don't even bother so that they can maybe have a chance at doing it right this time. And you find yourself often working on things that don't really matter. I remember working on things that mattered. When I worked at Apple, I was really excited about the stuff I was working on because it was hardware and software that I used, that my friends and family used. I was really proud of working there. It was enabling technology that helped people do stuff. It helped kids get an education, helped people write and publish, helped people connect with other people. And then things started to slowly shift, right? It was still pretty meaningful at eBay, I would say. It was this democratizing platform trying to help people. In some cases, that's how they could make a living. There were people who had become disabled, could no longer go to a job, didn't have the ability to leave their home very easily. And now they could work from home and make a living and support themselves. So I felt pretty good about that too. But I guess when I started working on stuff that seemed kind of silly, that if it went away tomorrow, no one would care, stuff that was powered by advertising. And so there was this conflict of interest of horrible, irrelevant ads, but hey, they paid a lot, being shoved in people's faces and ruining the experience. But hey, who cares, right? We're making money. I hated that. And so we kind of get tired of that. If we're not working on things that are curing cancer, solving world hunger, fixing political issues, enabling people to live wonderful lives, it's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Yeah, you're getting a paycheck, but it doesn't matter. And that really starts to eat away at you, right? Working on stuff like that for way too long, the years keep going by and making too little. Making too little. You don't fully control your compensation as an employee. I always recommend pushing as hard as you can to get promoted and to get more money, to be fully compensated, to change jobs, because that's when you get your biggest compensation boost and can get promoted. I call it the Silicon Valley promotion. But if you stay in a company, it's very little increases in compensation over time. It barely stays ahead of inflation. You don't control that. It's very hard to become wealthy and financially stable in some ways working for someone else because you can't make those changes. Like, oh, I bought a house, my mortgage is more expensive, my kids are going to college, I need more money. And the boss is like, I don't care. You're still getting a 5% raise. I'm not going to give you a 10% raise. I got tired of that too. I think a lot of people get tired of not controlling their total compensation, especially to make up for that pain of working on things that don't matter, working for someone you don't like, dealing with toxic coworkers. Maybe you're commuting. I used to commute 1 to 2 hours a day, both ways, each way. I had a day it took me 4 hours. I was 2 hours to work and 2 hours coming home. I was not being paid well enough to sit on a freeway in a car for 4 hours. No way. So yeah, got tired of that too. So yeah, you kind of get to that point where it's a little restrictive. It's a little uncomfortable. You're just not enjoying anymore. But what do you do? What can you do? You can only change jobs so much. What are you going to do? And then the pull. I have experienced this, and the people I coach want this. People want more freedom. They want more freedom in their life and in their days. They want more control. And as an employee, you only have so much control. They want autonomy. They don't want to be told what to do every single day. Especially as you become more senior and you got 20 years of experience, you're like, I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. I know how to do my job. But yet here we are, you trying to change how I do my work and trying to shake everything up, and I have to prove myself all over again, right? So people want more autonomy. They want time freedom. And I've talked about how time freedom is probably the greatest luxury ever. That is true wealth. True wealth is determining every day, how am I going to spend my time today? No one else controls it. No one else is going to tell me what to do. I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. I own my time. Time freedom is an incredible luxury. It's true wealth. And time freedom is something you only have when you are either independently wealthy, fully retired, or you own your own business. You will never have 100% time freedom working for someone else. And that includes the freedom to work when you want. Do you want to work every day of the week? Yes or no? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you want to work some days? Which days? Maybe you want to work over the weekend because you don't really have a weekend anymore. Any day can be the weekend. And I do this. I'll work on the weekend and then I take off all day Wednesday to go hiking or skiing with my wife. That's my weekend. so you can work when you want. You can work where you want. You no longer have to commute if you don't want to. You don't have to go to an office if you don't want to, or you could. I have some friends who have offices, they share with people, they have co-working spaces. They like getting out of the house and going to an office. They like that separation of work and life. I like working where I want. I like working in my home office. Sometimes now it's the summer and I've been working on my front deck. I have a setup with a patio umbrella and a nice table, and it's beautiful, and there are birds singing and trees, and I love it. And I work there. Sometimes I'll work at a coffee shop. Sometimes I'll work at a local brewery. They have a beautiful patio. I sit outside and I'll have a nice drink and work outside. I've worked at a ski resort. The other thing I can do is I can travel and work. I can take really long trips and vacations. I've gone to Mexico for a long time and worked in a beautiful apartment that we had in Mexico. And I've been in Alaska for 6 weeks with my kids. And I work there. I visit my family in the Midwest, and I put in a few hours of work, and then we go out and we have fun. So I can work anywhere in the world. I've worked internationally. So that's the freedom to work where you want, wherever you want. Work as much as you want or not. I know some people like to jam pack a few days, and so maybe they work 3 hard days and they take the rest of the week off. Maybe they just work 2 to 4 hours a day. You can work as much as you want or as little as you want. It's your business. I know somebody, this was a long time ago. I'm trying to think, this is when I was working at Apple. It was an engineer. They were a consultant, really good at what they did, so they had complete power and control and autonomy. That's the thing about being good at what you do. Everybody has to tolerate what you want because you are in demand. You're so darn good at what you do. And this person was really good. They would work 6 months, have contracts and clients, and they'd work pretty hard, and then take off for 6 months. So they only worked half of the year, and then they take a 6-month vacation, and they would hike the Andes. They travel the world. They would go to Vietnam, and they would go to Europe and backpack. They would work half the year, vacation half the year, and they made enough money in that half of the year that they could do that. And they lived pretty exciting lifestyle because of that. So that is really powerful, working as much as you want or not. Another one that's a huge thing that pulls people is now you get to work with whom you want. You get to choose the people you work with and spend time with every day. You don't get to do that as an employee. You don't get to pick your boss. You don't get to pick your coworkers. And even if you choose your boss, which is something I recommend for my career clients, by joining the right company and knowing who you're going to work for, I have experienced this. I'm sure you have. Wow, 6 months later, that boss leaves, or they get fired, or there's a reorg, and now you have a new boss, and that new boss is hit or miss. It may be good, may be a good person, it may be terrible, and I've had both. It sure is nice to choose who you work with. And you absolutely do. And I've heard people who are not entrepreneurs or solopreneurs talking garbage about being a business owner, like, yeah, well, now your clients and your customers are your boss. It's like, no, they're not. No, they're not. If I'm not getting along with my boss, I can't fire them. If I'm not getting along with a coworker, I can't put them on a list and say, lay this person off. I can't stand this person, or fire that coworker. I don't like them. You don't get to choose that at all. If you want to change your boss or your coworkers, you have to find a new job. As a business owner, you decide. You decide, is this person going to be a customer of mine or a client of mine or not? You meet each other, you have that initial call, and maybe it just rubs you the wrong way. And maybe the way they act is like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. You're expecting way too much. You're too demanding. Your ideas are unreasonable. There's no way this is going to work out. Nice to meet you, but I don't think we're going to work together. Or you can fire a client. I've had to fire a client where they would not respect boundaries. Kept calling me, kept texting me all hours of the night, weekends, all kinds of time. Like, yeah, this isn't working out. Let's terminate this. I didn't have to shut down my business. I didn't have to start a new business. I didn't have to take a new job. I got rid of the client. So you get to choose who you work with. And that is especially true for your partners too. Like if you want to partner with somebody, you decide, am I going to work with you on this workshop? Are we going to teach a course together? Do we want to do this retreat together? I can choose to do this with friends, and I do. I have friends that I reach out to and like, hey, that'd be great to work together. I'd love to do that. I don't reach out to my enemies. I don't reach out to people I don't like and say, boy, I'd really like to work with you even though we don't like each other and can't stand each other. Absolutely not. So people are drawn to this idea of choosing who do you work with? Who do you get to work with? And you now have the freedom as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, to work on things that matter. You can choose. You're building this business. You're leaning into your interest and your likes, your core talents and strengths and experience and all those skills you have. You get to choose. And you're like, this is what matters to me. This is what I want to address. These are the people I want to help. I want a sense of purpose. I'm going to create a sense of purpose. I'm not going to work on some garbage that is fed by garbage ads and I feel terrible every day. Or I'm going to work on a product that I feel like is predatory. Boy, I'm helping more teens vape. I'm helping more people use social media and become addicted, even though it's bad for their mental health. Or I'm going to work on this AI that helps target people and kill them with drones. I mean, come on. You don't have to do that. You get to decide what matters to you, what is interesting for you, and what aligns with your values. You get to build a business that aligns with your morality and your values, which is pretty cool. And so when I think about the people I want to work with, I don't want to turn anyone away. So if someone really wants to learn how to do this, they want to partner with me and learn, be coached, or they want to join a workshop, I'm not going to tell somebody, you can't join the workshop, right? Unless they're a terrible person. That rarely happens. But there are people that I am more focused on helping than others. I want to work with those people who are at that special point in life where you're too young to retire, but you're finding that you're too old to get hired. Not that it's impossible, but it's getting harder and harder because in most industries and most professions, with rare exceptions, there is some age discrimination. There is ageism. It can be subtle. It can be overt. You may even hear CEOs say, old people are stupid and slow, or we don't hire old people. Literally been said by CEOs, especially in tech. And I've seen it when I worked in tech, where people behind the scenes in the interviews be like, I think they're too old to be creative. They're not a digital native. They have a lot of code for this kind of stuff. There's definitely ageism and age discrimination. And I have friends and colleagues and clients who used to climb the ladder and get jobs in a heartbeat, get into their 40s, or they're even their 50s, and find it's taking longer and longer for me to get a job. I'm not getting as many recruiter calls as I used to. I know someone who is an executive, very talented, very experienced, wonderful person. Everybody likes this person. They had been looking for a job after a layoff for 3 years. 3 flippin' years. Applying, interviewing, dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews, never quite getting to the final round, never getting an offer. And they said, I guess I'm done. I've been trying to get this new job for 3 years and no one wants to hire me. I guess I'm going to be forced into retirement. So I want to help those people. I want to help people who they're too young to just walk away and retire, or they don't have enough of a nest egg to do that. But they're finding it really hard to find another job. And so there is one boss that will not discriminate against you. And you know who that is? You. Being your own boss. You're not going to fire yourself because you're too old. You're going to love the fact that you have wisdom. Let me tell you. So I'm finding that this is mostly people that fall into Gen X. I'm Gen X. Yeah, the boomers are in retirement now. They're pretty much done. Some people want to still work. And like I said, I'm not going to turn away a boomer He was like, hey, I want to start a business and I want to have the freedom and flexibility to run this business, but spend time with my grandkids and travel. Of course, join us, have fun. I'm starting to find maybe elder millennials are kind of falling into this too. They're starting to hit the wall of ageism too, believe it or not. Starts in your 40s. Good times, good times. So they may be interested as well. But the younger folks, Gen Z and, I think, what is it, Gen Alpha? Way too young. I think there is super powerful value in having a job for a while, in working for corporations. I call it your postgraduate education. So that's why, hey, I'm not going to turn you away if you're in a sweet situation where you can kind of financially retire, but you want to build your next thing. I don't know. You may want to join us too, or you may have your own ideas. You may want to take a swing at a startup. Who knows? I don't know what you're going to do, but it's a good situation to be in. But I tell people, even if you don't enjoy it and you wish you didn't have to have a job, it is really nice to learn on someone else's dime, because there's a lot of things you can't learn through an education that only happen through getting your hands dirty, working in multiple jobs, multiple types of bosses, teams, different types of products, services, environments. You're going to learn a lot of good stuff. You're going to learn a lot of bad stuff that you're going to hate. I think you need to learn it. You need to learn what you don't like as much as what you do like. So I think it really helps to have this real world experience working for another company who's paying you to build your network, for one. I mean, you're going to build a network of great people you're going to meet. Not everybody, but the ones who are great that you're going to know for the rest of your life. I'm still friends with people from IBM. I still have a lot of friends from Apple, and we help each other. Helped each other a lot over the years. My eBay network has been great. My Yahoo network has been great. It's really helped me. It's helped me throughout my primary career to find new jobs and to hire people, to find talent. And it helped me with my business. I've coached a lot of people who used to be my employees. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to work with people again. So having that network is super valuable. Way easier when you're in a job. To build up your retirement account, to get that matching, right? You set up a 401k, some kind of retirement account, your employer does matching. That's money, free money in the bank, man. It's like nice to get the benefits, health insurance, all that stuff, especially in your primary years. Maybe you're starting a family, to get stock in some cases. So if you're getting stock, I know some people that are getting stock worth millions. I don't want you to walk away from that. That can help build your nest egg. That can help set you up to build your own thing later, right? So it really does help to have some experience in the working world. And that's why I don't tend to work with people who are in their 20s. I think they have a lot to gain from the corporate world and the employment experience that they can take later into building a business, but I think they should focus on that first. So I really want to focus on people, probably primarily Gen X, a little bit of elder millennials, maybe some boomers will show up, who are in the final stages of their career. So they've been in their careers 15, 20, 25 years. They're still working. So they still have a job. They still have income. And they have the luxury of having that money coming in, which lets them plan a business and test some business models and products and services before taking a risk. So much easier to be aggressive and build a cool business that you love if you have money coming in, if your bank account's not going empty. I've worked with people who've lost their jobs. They get nervous. I don't blame them. And so they're really struggling and trying to build something as fast as possible. And that is not when you make the best decisions. That's not when you're the most confident. That's not when you take the time to get it right. You don't have the time to test and experiment and figure out, is there a there? Am I getting clients and now I can scale? No, you're panicking. You need money in the bank. So I don't think it works really well for people that have lost their jobs. So I want people who are in these final stages, they have income and they're ready to take some time to plan. So they've got a year or two that they can say, I'm going to build this out. I'm going to plan this and I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right before I take this leap. And so that's what I'm doing. I am offering kind of the playbook, the guide for that moment for that moment in life, that moment in your career. And I'm going to call it the exit blueprint. I love the idea of a blueprint. I've done kind of information architecture work and design architecture work. It's really about that exit moment. I do coach people who have existing businesses, and I've worked with people to scale their businesses, find new revenue streams, improve things, help them with marketing, all that kind of stuff. They usually got stuff figured out and they just need a little bit of help. But I really love working with people at that moment when they want to plan their exit. And I think it gets away from some of the negative stuff. I'm not calling this the golden years blueprint or the retirement blueprint. That's not what this is about. This is about creating a blueprint for your exit from the 9-to-5 world, from a corporate environment into something better. So using this blueprint to plan something, to test something, to validate it, make sure it's going to work, and then ease into it, and then finally say goodbye to work. Say goodbye to your boss, and say hello to an exciting new future of being an entrepreneur, an empowered entrepreneur, which is probably a better way to think of it than an invincible solopreneur. So empowered entrepreneurs using the exit blueprint to create an exciting new future of self-employment and financial security. I think it's important. So I have so much of this already created. I've been using it for coaching clients one-on-one. So I'm going to offer this through multiple kind of channels. One is going to be one-on-one coaching. So I have a series of these workbooks that build up to essentially a business manual, an operating manual that you could use for the rest of your life. You could use it for the rest of the lifetime of your business and keep editing it, modifying it, scaling it, whatever it might be. But it takes you from kind of start to finish of saying, what is it that I want? What do I want for these years of my life? How do I want to live? Design my life first, which I think is super important. And then design a business model that supports that. Not the other way around. We've already spent way too much of our life being trapped in jobs that define how our life is going to go. You're going to commute. You're going to be at work at 8 a.m. You're going to stay till 9 p.m. Not anymore. Design your life first, then design a business that supports it. Design a business that plays to who you are. Your strengths, your character, your morality, your values, what you're good at doing, what you enjoy doing, and no more of what you don't like doing. You get to choose. So defining it, figuring out who your ideal customer is, how to reach them, where are they, what you're going to offer. Is it a product? Is it a service? Is it products and services? Is it a physical business? Is it a virtual business? You can do this online. Is it asynchronous, which I love, being able to offer stuff that can be accessed at any time. So you can be anywhere in the world and at any time, communicating, sharing, growing your business, all that kind of good stuff, right? So I do that through coaching. We build this together over the course of several weeks or sometimes months. I also want to offer this through kind of the community. So I want to have a workshop. I want to have most likely kind of a 2-day workshop, which will be live that people can join. And we'll spend a couple of days working through this, having this manual, these workbooks, and me talking you through it, giving you feedback, the community giving feedback. And by the end of it, you have your exit blueprint. You have this operating manual that's going to help you design and test your business. This could also be offered through a course. So I'm thinking about, I already have the materials. Some people might want to DIY it. They don't really want to spend time or the money, because working with me one-on-one is obviously probably the most expensive, right? So getting my full-time, 100% dedicated to you, private coaching, that's the most expensive route. So maybe a DIY course is a lot more affordable for some people, and they don't want the community aspects. They don't want to share their business idea. They don't really like that. That's fine. I get it. I'm not always the most social person either. So there's going to be a DIY version of this, a course where you can build your own blueprint and just do it by yourself. Go as fast as you want, go as slow as you want. It's up to you. And then ultimately, I also want to offer a retreat. I love the idea of getting back into the world now. We're post-pandemic. We're kind of over the shock and trauma of that, and we miss the real world. We miss going places. We miss seeing people. I miss teaching people in person. I miss that sense of camaraderie and sharing food together and drinks together and talking around the fire, all that good stuff. So I want to have a weekend retreat, probably a Friday through Sunday, where a small group of us go somewhere beautiful. I live near Lake Tahoe. That could be one place. I like going to Mexico. I have a friend in Costa Rica, have some friends in Europe, where we could do a 3-day retreat, work through this stuff in person, have a lot of stuff that's hands-on, where we're working and building and getting feedback and pitching and practicing our sales pitch and our elevator pitch and all that good stuff and pricing models, you name it. But also having fun, going for hikes, going on a boat ride, going out for a nice meal, whatever it is, having some fun with it, because this is the whole point of this. You now get to blend work and life in a way that feels good for you, where it's fun. It kind of flows in and out. And I do that too. I go for a hike, and maybe while I'm having a drink after the hike and dinner, I'm like, oh, I have an idea for my business. And I'll open up my notebook on my phone and write some ideas down. Or I'll say, oh, I should tell that client that we're going to meet tomorrow. And I'll send a quick email. It's easy. I'm not stuck in an office for 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day. I can just have some fun in my real life and pull up my phone, do a little bit of work, go back to my real life. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Anyway, so that's the idea. It's going to be called the Exit Blueprint. It's going to be offered through one-on-one private coaching, through a cohort course model where we meet for a couple of days and it's a small group of people, a DIY course where you can do it at your own pace, do whatever you want, don't have to worry about being social, and either an in-person workshop and ultimately a retreat where we get together in person. And we spend 2 to 3 days together, plan your business, do some informal testing, even build websites, all kinds of stuff, where we can kind of get this up and running and you feel good about it and you walk away with your blueprint for your business. So that's it. Yeah, sorry, I went a little bit long there. So if you go to newsletter.invinciblesolopreneurs.com, that URL should still work. I'm not sure if I'm going to change the domain and rebrand all that or just offer this as a package within the solopreneur kind of framework of the domain. Because I don't want people to have to deal with a broken domain and community name and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to play around and see what I can do with that. But if you have any feedback, leave me a comment, send me a message. If you're a member of my community, feel free to leave a message there. Happy to discuss it further and get some more feedback from you and hear your thoughts on it. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I wish you the best of luck with building the business of your dreams.